Welcome to Your Yes is Need podcast. It's been a while since I have been able to record someone. I have Monique out of my Team Limitless team, my powerlifting team. So I actually had invited everyone. I said, who wants me to interview them? And Monique is the only one that volunteered. In fact, she reminded me today. So, yes, so here we are.
Here
And
we are.
the reason why how any of this started, because I wasn't planning to do a podcast tonight, is because I actually had a great day today this morning when we were passing out socks, soup, sandwiches on the streets at Miracle Mall, as Restoration City Church calls it. And it is one of their campuses. And today was a huge blessing to me. And this morning, I had sent a video expressing my my concern with a shift within my team, and it wasn't good. And so it's been really heavy on my heart, and I was like, why man, why? And if anything, I was kind of upset, like the turn that it was taking. But
Mm,
I followed my instructions because, and this is where we're going to lead off into. And so this whole entire self-observation came from last Sunday. Last Sunday, and I was sharing this with the whole entire team. Last Sunday, I witnessed something that broke my heart. But I knew to sit right next to the person and talk to them. Instead, I did what was safe, and which was give them a cup of soup instead of having a conversation with them. And in turn, it took a turn for the worse. And that really bothered me. And I understand the environment I'm stepping into. I understand my environment. I understand where I'm at. I wasn't, I'm not, disregarding where I'm at. However, it was the conviction that hit me because it's like, and I had to ask the question, what kind of people pleasing do I still have left in me that I felt like I was going to be rejected? And
mm,
too many times, we feel like it's just part of our personality because we've always been like this. We feel like, oh, it's just who I am. And so there's a lot of labels that have been put on us, and then we have carried those labels all the way into adulthood.
mm,
And so then we really believe that's who we really are. Okay. And to me, that's just a no. And if you're listening to this and you're new to this, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, suicidal ideation, um, uh, insomnia, a whole list of things. And no, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and no, I that I worked my ass off to make sure it's inactive. And so when a lot of people see me for who I am now, and they see the confidence and they see me doing things and what they feel is very normal, they disregard all the work that I have put in. And it used to piss me off. And I'd be like, what? You don't know me. Like you don't know the work I put in so I can keep my sanity. You don't need-" But then I realize it's a compliment.
mm.
And so when I saw you today at church after we came back, today we had an incredible day and I felt extremely confident. My discernment was extremely sharp. And I said, this is how it should be all the time. And that requires doing the hardest thing. And sometimes that requires cutting people off. And I shared this with you, and this is how we got into the conversation to where we're leading up to. And I said, Mo, when you're around me, do I make you feel guilty? And you said no. Do I make you feel guilty for doing this? And you said no. So then I said, is it me or is it you? Obviously, it's not you because you don't feel guilty. But if you're around such and such, or you're around a certain person that makes you feel guilty, is it you or is it them? And then once you start keeping those company around them, and then you try to cover it up with like, see the good in them, which as we all should see the good in people. But if you're constantly making excuses for people for their behavior, then it is you. And the reason why they're keeping you in the picture is because you are not considered supply for them to do what they need to do in order to survive. And we were talking about paying the price. So Mo, when I saw you at RCC, if you go back to that, when I saw you at RCC, I was sharing with you, I rather have today. It's worth whatever I need to do to experience today, because that is what it's about. That is what it's about. I can't operate on people pleasing. I cannot operate on guilt. I can't. It does you no good. And so, and I said, Mo, I gotta ask you a question. How come you say that you want God to have your way, but every time God uses a messenger, you run away? And then what is what like right now?
Oh,
Like right now. There you go. See?
I was trying to sleep it
See, I'm not making stuff up. No, but and I asked, I was like, why do people run away? Like I have a hard time. I'm having a hard time understanding. And I even asked the Lord, am I supposed to understand this? Like, is this a new thing? Or I
away.
I don't get it. Like, help me understand what it is. Because when I asked for help, it wasn't a red carpet. And then the first thing I had to do was ask for help, which was extremely hard. And then I realized it wasn't red carpet. And so please take over the mic and get straight to it. I know, don't feel nervous or dance around it, because you have a good word in you. You're very confident. I never question your confidence. I never question your ability. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Wow. I think I think in part when we're given an opportunity or we're given a message through someone, when someone has the answer to what we've been searching for, I think in some ways, one, fear keeps us from pressing in. I think two, just, and this is connected to fear, but like our own unbelief or disbelief of what the validity of what that person may be saying or seeing in us. And like fear is such a liar because, and I think like God is like used you so beautifully, like in my life, Z, and like in so many other people's lives as well. And I think it's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of if I step into that thing, if I step into that version of myself, if I step into that reality of who I could be, we don't know what that is. And so because we don't know it, we fear it.
Right. And you're making a very good point, which most people, probably a lot of people, can relate to. And that's why I asked you to come to this podcast. The fear of the unknown is a real thing. I definitely went through it twice, and it's extremely scary. And so you had mentioned when we were talking on the phone, you were like, Lord, let your will be done, but I don't want to control everything in my heart.
Yeah, and it's like I think especially for believers, like we pray that prayer, like God have your way, like Lord lead my life, guide my life. And so in the confession of that prayer, there's a flip side. It's like, okay, when God answers it, are you ready? Are you ready for the vessel that he's going to send you? Are you ready for what it's going to require of you to see that actually be fulfilled? Because faithful that works is dead, right? And so we have the faith to believe and the faith to confess, like, God, like, I believe that you're the one who can change my life. And then God starts doing the thing, and we're like, oh crap, I don't know if I signed up for all this. But it's like, you prayed it. You prayed it,
Right.
boo boo. So like it's like, and I'm pretty sure God's like, I don't get it. Like you asked for this.
Mm-hmm. I'd be saying the same thing. I don't get it. Like, and it's not so much that I've hit it. Like that's not what it is. But when I made my appointments, I started off extremely clueless. Like I had no, like I did not know how blind I was. I did not know how deaf I was. I had to start almost from scratch to learn the term what is depression and how it affects me physically,
Mm.
understanding anxiety and how it affects me physically. And it's just learning the basic terms. And I remember sitting there and I shared with you like in 2018, that's when I went through all my therapy sessions. And I was like, I had posted on my IG that a whiteboard of my personalities of showing like anytime I want to put myself first, I felt guilty.
Mm.
And you guys will have a hard time believing that right now.
Yeah.
And so, and I have shared with you guys like the reason why I am the way I am right now is because someone followed their instructions to help me to where I'm at. And that's what was effective. Not all the other people that I hooked up with and gave me words of encouragement, knowing damn well they did not live it.
Yeah.
And obviously, it didn't work because we were doing the exact same thing. But the people that followed their instructions, that planted that seed in me, and God let it rain on me for that harvest to grow within me. And so, why would I even dare interfere with what I think should work and the instruction of what is in my heart to follow, even though I'd be like, that's not what I would do, but whatever you call it. And I see how effective it's become. And the more I see how effective it's become, I'm like, well, damn, you know way more than me, dog. Let me get out of the way. So a little more, a little more, a little more. And so and so that now that you know this, right? Because obviously God has been tampering with your heart for a reason. And can we talk about how it has affected you physically as far as your eating wise, if you want to go there?
Yeah, we can go there. Might as
Okay,
well.
go there. Go there. Let's go there. So
Yeah.
I was telling Mo, I said, Mo, like when you are mentally exhausted, like no one wants the salad. No one wants to be like, look at this crouton. Like when you're tired, you just want to eat like poo poo pants. Like you want comfort food. You want comfort. And so when you're always tired, then you have to start asking the question, why am I always tired? And then people start looking for like something like pills or
Mhm.
something to like, oh, maybe these gummies will work. And it's you.
Yeah. And I think in part it's like facing your own shit. It's like facing your own it's facing your own stuff because like you said, like we can go sorry, you okay? You good? Sometimes it slips out. But it's like, yeah, you can take the gummy, you can have the gym membership, you can do all the things that health and wellness look like. But it's like if you're not dealing with what's going on in here, all of that is in vain. So like for me, over the past few months, I've been doing Christian nutritional counseling and it's been really just eye opening. Because it's like, wow, like understanding triggers, understanding what makes me want to emotionally eat, what makes me gravitate towards certain foods, what are my triggers, what are the things that set me off. And it's almost in a way of like, and I think one thing about believers is that we have our mindset of like, oh, well, like, at least you're not doing drugs, but it's like people treat food as a drug. People treat binge eating as a drug. It's like, and like physically, like your body reacts to it as if it were a drug.
Mhm.
And so for me, like just feeling the conviction that one, like I kind of had like a health scare over the summer where my numbers were not what I envisioned them to be. And so it was definitely like a wake up call of like, oh no, boo boo, like this is literally the difference between life and death, and I choose life every single time. But in the process of that, it is the undoing. It is the facing the ugly. It's facing the that has some that's some stuff. Um, and it's not putting a band-aid over it.
Mm.
And I think for me, and I think just in general with society, like it's so quick to patch things up, right? Just gonna patch it up, gonna patch it up, and then it's like you're not really getting to like it's infected. It's
Mm-hmm.
infected. You cannot put a band-aid. You need to get in there, you need to wash it out, you need to cleanse it, then we need to bandage it properly.
And so we you confess that, yeah, you asked for the growth. You did. Like you're all for the growth, but
Yeah.
you don't want to give it up. You don't want to give up the comfort.
It's hard. It's hard because I think for me, I was telling the young lady who's coaching me, I'm at a crossroads where we're ending this program and I've made amazing progress. Like my numbers are back in a normal range, praise be to God. But like there's like, okay, we keep going and going to the unknown, or do we make a U-turn and go back to what we always knew? And for me, like my confession is like I cannot go back. I refuse to go back. I refuse to inherit some of the, health issues that I see my family members struggling. I refuse to do that. But it's like the fear of the unknown kind of makes backsliding, essentially, like backsliding
Mhm.
seem like the best option, but it's like that uncomfortableness and like really wrestling with that and like really facing it and pushing. It's like I've never given birth to a child, but like I can imagine it's like if you in there and this thing's coming out of your, and it's just like you gotta push, you gotta get through it because I don't know what other option you have.
Can I share something with you that I heard on one of Jay Shetty's podcasts? He said that someone that he was interviewing, I don't remember who, but the reason why we're so afraid of stepping into the unknown, because the person that we have been living with this whole entire part time is the only person that we know. Like we are afraid to lose this person and step into this growth because this person is a person that has kept all these relationships. This person is the reason why your family accepts you finally. Maybe this person that you've only known is the reason why you have some friends and the reason why you're popular.
Yeah.
But then also, it's this person that has attracted people that have broken your heart. It's this person that has also attracted you to make you feel guilty. It's this person that has attracted um almost like how to like become someone else. So you think like this is the only person that you know, but maybe, just maybe, you have become groomed to become the person that they want you to know. And that's the only person you know. So the unknown is something that is scary because you don't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what if I lose this and what if I lose that? Yes, yes,
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
But what I can promise you, what I can promise you is that when you step into the person that you're supposed to be, you will meet the people that you're supposed to be. Because the reason why I sent that that video this morning is because I'm going to next higher levels.
Yeah.
And I can't be surrounded by people that are doubtful
Mm,
because you're gonna put your bleeding onto me.
wow.
And because and I'm okay with doubt, but when you refuse to change because of your pride and ego, then I can't do nothing for you. And
Mhm.
so when you are going to next levels, the unknown, you will meet the people that are already there waiting for you. But if you choose to stay here, then the people that are down here refusing to change with you are still going to be down here too.
Mm.
And so the reason why it's necessary to cut the people off, because you're going to start speaking a different language soon. You're going to start looking different. You're going to start sounding different. And it's all from the confidence that you never knew that you had, that you needed. And confidence comes from something you don't want to do. It's birthed from doing something you don't want to do. And you cannot buy it.
That's real.
I feel like you're holding your breath.
I mean, we had our call earlier today, so I'm kind of like,
But Mo, can I ask you a question? Maybe this doesn't have an answer. I don't know. But can you help me understand, where did the trend of just of asking and not receiving come from?
Asking and not receiving. So like asking, like essentially asking for help. The help is presented, and then you just don't want it.
Right. Where did this trend come from?
I feel like, I don't know where it originated from, but I feel like it's rooted in pride. Like,
Expand.
it's like, okay, you can humble yourself enough to ask for help because you're aware that maybe I don't have it all figured out. And then when you get an answer and it may not align with what you were hoping to get,
Boom.
then
There it
pride
goes.
can come in and
There it
pride
goes.
that is not it. Like you're second guessing the answer. Because you think
it's an answer you do not like.
You don't want it. You don't want it. It's like, yeah, that's it. You just don't. You're either not ready to receive it, or you're just completely just shutting it down.
So you've heard me say, if you ask God for anything for self-growth, he will give you your answer within 24 hours. Now, I have BB who thinks I'm full of shit when I say that. And I said, no. Anytime you ask God for anything to self-growth, he will give you your answer within 24 hours. Have you experienced that yet?
Yeah, I think over the summer when I had that health scare, and I was like, God, you gotta help me. Like I was on Instagram and like I found like the young lady who does the Christian nutritional counseling, and it was like completely random. Like we have no mutuals. I don't even know how I found her, but I really do feel like it was God sent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the reason why she thinks I'm full of shit, she was like, I asked what my purpose is. I was like, that's not how you ask for self-growth. Most people won't know what their purpose is until they're ready to receive it.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked the question, why do people ask but not receive, but they want their purpose? So you have to be ready to receive. But if you're not in a position that you ask and you're ready to receive, then the things that you have to go through in order to get there is how you receive it. And so one of my questions, like, what's like Sunday? What stopped me from approaching her and doing what I was supposed to do? I ask questions like that. Or why, where's this circling coming around from? Why, what is that trigger? Or I ask questions that requires God to answer, because it's only going to make me grow, and it's only going to benefit my purpose, which is going to help grow the kingdom. So that I have to have an answer, and that asking you shall receive, that's how that works. Yeah. So if you're really, really asking God to show you what it is that's blocking you, you just don't like the answer. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. 100%.
And the reason why you like the answer is because there's still some pride in you.
Or fear.
Or fear. The fear of the unknown it's a
Fear of
real
the
thing.
fear of the unknown for sure. Yeah.
And so
And I think also just, and like this goes along with like fear of the unknown, but I think people pleasing as well, like just not, like if you get an answer and then you're afraid of how you're going to be perceived if
ooh,
you follow through with that. And like, yeah, that's fear of the unknown, but that's also people pleasing.
right, which you've shared that sometimes you have a hard time um doing things in your leadership position is because you just don't want to be reflected as the bad guy. And so you carry this burden. And so what happens is it trickles out. I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to look like I have a cold heart. I don't
Mm,
want to sound like a douchebag. So then you carry a burden. And next thing you know, you feel like you carry this responsibilities to do things and you start making reasons why you should do things. And you're like, well, I should do it because someone did it for me. Or I should do it because, it's the right thing to do. Or I should do it because then you start finding the reasoning why you should be doing something instead of doing something because you want to. And then
mm-hmm.
you tell yourself you want to, but because of, and it has a dot, 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 dot with it. And I can tell you from running a camp for almost 3 years next month, I don't feel like I have to do nothing. And I I share as much as the in between with as possible with you guys so that you can understand not to be so alone when you make leadership decisions. But I don't feel like I have to do nothing. I want to be there. So my prayer is that I don't feel exhausted. That's my prayer. That I don't get tired of what I'm doing. Because the
Mm,
moment I get tired, then that's when the bitterness starts like settling, like a dew, like a mist.
mm,
And you don't see it coming because it's just like dew. You didn't see it coming. It just one day just you woke up and it's all over the place.
mm. That's real.
And so I've learned to take some time off for myself. I learned on the weekends to go to a different gym so I can get a different environment. Like I do things to always be able to be available, effective, and not burn out. But most importantly, I follow my instructions because I told God, you got to be my coach.
Mm, that's good.
And I hope that going forward, when the unknowns start come knocking on your door again, that you just literally lean on your greater side, which is the God side, to let him do what he wants to do.
It's hard.
Of course it's hard. Do you ever ask this question, right? Now that I'm in this position, I have so much respect for pastors and leaders. I called my pastor like a few months ago and I said, "Man, I'm sorry for assuming that you were always going to be there. I did not realize how selfish I was." And
Mm,
because we like to waste people's time.
wow.
And I apologized for her for that.
Mm,
And it made me a better person.
mm,
And I see what these pastors go through that are in position. and I see why people leave.
Yeah.
And doing the hard thing will always be hard. And if we don't do things in God's timing, then what happens is when we're supposed to cut things off, it will just look messy. And then it will just look like all the emotions that came with it because we were ready to explode because we didn't cut it off when we were supposed to. And it just looks like it's messy.
Mm.
And the unknown will always be hard. There's nothing that will ever be easy stepping in through the unknown because in order to go through the unknown, you have to go through a breakthrough. In order to go through a breakthrough, you have to break what was holding you back in order to get through. And I believe that God is gonna do that for you because you looking, and I'm glad you're looking but what if I told you it's not you that's looking, but the thing inside of you that's looking for you? That's
Mm.
why that's why I tell you I just sit back. I'd be like, there you go, God, keep using. It ain't me. It ain't me. It'll never be me. I never wanted to be me. I never. I I never wanted to be me. And that I'm I love that I'm there. And I want you to get there too. So with 5 minutes left, Mo, if there's anything that you want people to know, if there's anything that you want people to share, because you have a lot to give. It's not so much what you don't or you're not doing, it's what you already done. And so what would you like to share for those listening and really want to do what it takes to keep going to find your breakthrough?
I mean, it probably sounds cliche, but don't give up. I think I was telling you like earlier over the phone, like I feel like I'm in the Karate Kid right now, and I'm like trying to like break through that wooden block, and it's like it ain't breaking yet. But oh my gosh, when it does, I feel like I'm gonna be like just like super saiyan, like so it's like you. It's like cliche to say, "Oh, don't give up, like keep going." But I think also getting to a point where you get tired of your own excuses.
Boom.
And I think you just have to be just so brutally honest. And I think it's hard. It's hard because the relationship you have with yourself is the longest relationship you'll ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And right? And so to some extent, we give ourselves passes for things where it's like, well, I'm like this because I've experienced this trauma. I'm like this because this is how people have groomed me to be. I'm like this because whatever, whatever, whatever. And I think you have to eventually get to a place where it's like, that's not really helpful. And it's not in alignment with what I envision my life to be. Because it's one thing to say something, it's one thing to speak something, it's one thing to confess, like, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. But it's like, okay, you're saying this, but your demeanor, your character, your actions, they're not aligning with that. And so I think whenever there's like when there's that misalignment, it's like really doing the hard work of like what's there. Um and I think also just be mindful of who's around you, who's in your circle, who has your ear. Because the people who have your ear are gonna be the people who have influence over you. Um and I think for the most part I've been really blessed with really great friendships. And I think even within that, like being honest about people in your family who may not like you love your family, like obviously. Like you don't get to choose your family. But maybe there's things that they have spoken over you in your life where it's like that is not in alignment with what I believe God has called me to. That's not in alignment with what I'm believing for myself. So just be mindful of who has your ear. Um, yeah, in your circle. think those are.
That was some good gems right there. That was some good gems. And it really comes down to being brutally honest so that you can find your authentic self and not the self that people made you to believe who you are. But finally finding out who you really are without the voices.
Yeah.
So, and just before I log off, you cannot find out your authentic self by hanging out with people that are only hiding who they are. Because they're only teaching you how to hide.
That's
They
good.
can sound motivational, they can be inspirational, but you cannot be your authentic self if you do not hang around authentic people. Period. So thank you, Mo, for coming on this podcast and sharing it. I hope God does that thing for you. Can't wait. Can't wait. So thank you all for listening. Have a good night.
Bye.